In 1999, Chicago Crime Commission researchers put the estimated number of female gang members in the area at 16 to 20,000. This was according to Marza Keegan and Catherine Kirby's periodical Girls and Gangs on the Rise in America. What's more alarming, however, is that these numbers came from over a decade ago. Today, there are currently an estimated 1,150,000 gang members in the United States, 40% of which are under the age of 18 and a rising 8% who are female. As the statistics show, we have a reason to have fear. Most of my research was based on information gathered from the Chicago area. Chicago is an area notoriously known for gangs and violence. It also happens to be about only 4 hours away from eastern Iowa. So, although we may not directly experience gang activity where we live, the increase in numbers could eventually mean we become harmed. Therefore, it is important to learn about why these numbers are rising so quickly, particularly in the case of women. After thorough research of numerous articles, periodicals, and books, there is a number of reasons that cause females to join gangs. However, in most cases, social, economic, and violent circumstances cause women to join gangs. To start off, I will explain how a female's social situation can influence her to join a gang. This includes peer pressure from friends and a desire to be a part of something. Marza Keegan and Catherine Kirby's periodical indicates that, quote, some girls really admit that they join because they are bored and look to gangs as a social life. They are looking for fun and excitement and a way to find parties and meet boys. In addition, Mark Fleischer and Jesse L. Kreinert's article, Life Course Events, Social Networks, and the Emergence of Violence Among Gang Members, features a case study where 74 active and former gang members were studied. This group was asked numerous questions by Fleischer and Kreinert about their community involvement, family history, drug and alcohol abuse, as well as the reasons they joined gangs. Their research concluded that 59.5% of females joined gangs because of a boyfriend or close friend that was in the gang. Additionally, 50% said they chose to join the gang because they were pressured by a close friend. And here are three of the tables. Oh, they're kind of hard to see, but these are some of the research and statistics that were included by Kreiner and Fleischer. A lack of involvement is also another social issue that women face. Fleischer and Kreiner discovered that 95.9% of gang members did not belong to any clubs, community organizations, or volunteer groups. 70.3% of the women reported to have never been offered any outside help with things such as daycare. That same percentage, 70.3% of women, reported to have never left their neighborhoods to participate in any non-illegal activities. Joan Moore and John Haggerton's ebook, Female Gangs, A Focus on Research, echoes the dangers of not being involved, stating, quote, joining a gang can be an assertion of independence not only from family, but also from cultural and class constraints. This shows that when not involved, a woman will often seek importance, even if it means illegal activity. A lack of involvement and peer pressure will often cause women to join a gang. Now that I spoke about the social situations that can cause women to join gangs, I will now talk about the different economic factors that can influence women to join gangs. These economic factors include location and poverty. First, I'll talk about location. Christian Mullador's article, Female Gang Members, A Profile of Aggression and Victimization, illustrates this. In this article, Mullador interviewed 15 female gang members who are now receiving treatment for substance or alcohol abuse. Mullador reports that, quote, the majority of the young women's neighborhoods were rife with poverty, alcohol, and drug use, as well as gang violence. 3 of the women reported to come from upper or middle class families. However, most of the women described their neighborhoods as, quote, slums, projects, ghettos, or pits. Going back to Keegan and Kirby's research, they state that those who entered gangs from ages 10 and up often had relatives who were already gang members or a strong gang presence in their neighborhood. The other economic circumstance faced is poverty. Fleischer and Kreiner discovered that 72.9% of gang members received government aid growing up. This shows poverty. With poverty, people will often do anything to help make money. It comes as no surprise that 93.9% of the gang members interviewed claimed that in the last 6 months they committed an illegal crime. This shows how poverty and bad neighborhoods often influence women to join gangs and commit illegal activity. Now that I talked about the different economic circumstances, I will finally talk about how issues of violence can cause women to join gangs. These circumstances of violence include domestic violence, substance abuse, and overall family problems. Looking at Kreiner and Fleischer's data again, 71.6% of women reported to have been hit by a child, and 83.1% said their father abused drugs. Joan Moore and John Haggerton also provided info on this subject by concluding that, quote, 29% of a large representative sample of Mexican-American female gang members had been sexually abused as a child, and their homes were more likely than male gang members to include drug users and persons arrested for crimes. This shows how drugs and alcohol can influence women to join gangs and sheds light on family problems. Family problems also can influence women to join gangs. And Gretchen Snether has a whole theory about this in her article, Preventing Gang Involvement. She talks about how strong families often can overcome adversity, but in most cases, with women that join gangs, they do not have a strong family, and adversity drives the women apart from their families and oftentimes causes them to run away and join a gang. Christian Mulador explains how family problems cause women to join gangs, when she concludes that, of her research, quote, often the young woman's birth parents were never married, and the women also related stories of extensive drug and alcohol abuse by their parents. This shows how family problems can negatively affect women. Now that I finally finished explaining the three causes of why females join gangs, I'll finally begin to conclude this analysis. Females are more likely to join a gang when they face social circumstances such as peer pressure and a lack of involvement, economic circumstances such as poverty and location, and family issues or violence. So while we aren't directly affected by gangs, it is important to recognize the causes of these numbers and why they're growing so quickly before we do become affected. The probability a person joins a gang is often influenced by causes that we cannot control. However, it is important that we start to acknowledge this issue, raise awareness, and try to help people that need the help so that we can stop these numbers from growing and make all neighborhoods safer.